This DYM podcast is brought to you by LeaderTrex. Go to serve, return ready to lead. On a LeaderTrex mission trip, you'll serve and get out of your comfort zone, and through the program, your students will learn how to lead. They will bring that leadership and confidence back to your youth ministry, and it will make a difference for the rest of the year. Learn more and sign up at leadertrex.org. And since we love DYM listeners, they always get 10% off resources by using the code DYM10. That's DYM10 at leadertrex.org.
Two, one. Hey, everybody! Welcome to the Download Youth Ministry Show. We're part of the Download Youth Ministry Network, a network of 6 other shows that are sponsored by our primary sponsor, Orange. We are grateful for Orange and Bethel University, who is hosting us for their student leadership conference, and LeaderTrex.
Oh, yeah. liver transplants.
LeaderTrex. And Give
Central. That's right.
.org.
Online giving platform for churches.
Last show I said GiveCentral.com.
Yeah, you said giving, and I was like, that's Give Central.
Yeah, Give Central.
That's
Give
right.
Central is Fadi's organization, and if you're kind of new to the show, Fadi is one of the... he is a philanthropist.
Yeah, he's a generous man.
He's a
good man.
businessman. He lets us office and studio, and he's a big supporter of youth ministry people.
He loves
He's
youth pastors.
added a trip to Hawaii for the youth pastor diet.
That's right. This studio is partially a gift from him. So yeah.
Did you guys even hear about the youth pastor diet? We have 600 people. Over
that thing is
people
blown.
sign up.
Hawaii is crazy. That's
I know.
Crazy.
Well, Josh and I put a $500 winner on the women's side and the guys' side.
Yeah.
And Fadi came in and said, every pound you lose, you get entered into a drawing.
How cool is that?
And he's going to fly you to Hawaii, put you up in a hotel. And I think that's pretty much it.
No,
that's amazing.
No, the first place you get $1,000 cash.
Oh, wow.
I know. In addition, dude's crazy.
Hawaii.
Yeah. Anyway, that's Fadi.
And then he goes, wait, what if someone from like Australia wins or England? I was like, hey, it's on you, bro.
That's right.
He's probably had some miles or something.
Yeah, don't look at us. We sell $3 items and give half of it back to the office.
We're not exactly
we're pretty
the
excited about giving
businessman.
$500 to people.
Yeah, welcome to the show. What number is this?
This is 328, Josh.
Wow.
328. Do you want to mention anything about the podcast network? How's it going?
The podcast network's blowing up. We've basically put these shows on the map. Yeah. Actually, most of them are new. A couple already had some pretty great followers, which is fun. Yeah. But it's fun to watch and listen to people discovering new content on podcasts. Now, here's the thing. The DYM podcast has been around for over 10 years.
Yep.
Podcasts were so hot like 10 years ago.
Yep.
And then they went through quite a long phase where
we stayed with it.
We stayed with it.
When everybody else left.
Nobody's listening, but we were talking. And then now podcasts are super hot again. So if you're new to the show or back, welcome. If you're just discovering podcasts, we have a deep archive of youth ministry content. So welcome aboard.
Yeah,
podcasts are back.
What if people want to check out?
Yeah, so if you want to check out the different shows of the network, podcast.downloadyouthministry.com. And if you also have a show idea or you run a show or you want to start a show, you can even submit it to us and maybe you could instantly start with a whole bunch of people listening to your show. When we started with 0. And it's fun now to go, someone could start on the podcast network and start with hundreds or maybe even thousands of listeners.
And if you know somebody that owns Del Taco and would like to sponsor the show, or Coca-Cola or Home Depot.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah.
Coffee
Home
Bean.
Depot?
I don't know.
Nest door alarms.
What would I do with Home Depot?
You've got a gift card.
I'd cash their check and help our podcast network out.
That's amazing.
I would buy a Nest thermostat or a Ring doorbell, the new camera Ring doorbell.
Oh, yeah, those are nice.
Really cool.
That's an infomercial.
What about the new Amazon lock that when the Amazon person delivers their package, they can put it inside your door? Is that weird that they can go inside your house?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, it's a thing.
I
a
am
bit much.
not doing that.
I'm
That's
uncomfortable with that.
terrible.
I don't want
but
your
what they did is
You know, your
don't
box
like
to
it.
get stolen.
I don't like it.
they
Josh.
took that and they parlayed that into, now they're doing Amazon security.
Brilliant.
So they've got like home security. You no monthly fees or anything like that.
Jeff-
They're using some of the same.
Jeff Bezos is the Antichrist. We're all cool on that, right? We all feel good about that?
I don't know. Who's that? See in Star Wars?
No.
Just kidding.
You got any more impressions for us, by the way?
Star Wars? No.
Oh, I know that was a few months ago, but it'd be fun to hear more
of this podcast.
You know what we didn't talk about is we really didn't talk about that one show where we only answered one question and everybody loved it.
The wildly popular
and we
show?
didn't even answer the one question.
Yeah.
We debated.
We debated and then never landed really on except, yeah, it's hard, so good luck.
Yeah.
No, Parents and Confidentiality, episode 322.
I don't know.
I don't know. I would say probably one of our most popular
324.
shows. Thank you. Was it?
That's what Allison says.
Oh, did you just get the quiet hand signals? Oh, wow. All right. It was a very popular show. Yeah.
Yeah, which makes me laugh because we just didn't answer the question. We debated it.
Well, and we didn't even intend for it to be one show or one
One
topic, one
question,
show.
yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have one hot topic for us today?
Probably not.
Hot
We got a lot of
topic.
questions.
A lot of questions.
Sometimes
Podcast.
not answering the questions nice, right? Make them think.
Hot topic? Is that what that was?
We got
just came
Jim
out.
Gaffigan here. Have we
I'm
even,
so sorry.
Have we even introduced to anybody that's new?
Oh, wow.
That's Katie Gaffigan, who.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. That just came out.
Yeah,
I'm
no.
tired. I just got back from camp.
That's all right. That's right. And Jason Carson, our senior pastor, Josh Griffin, our
Hello.
male model.
That's me.
And Douglas Montgomery Fields, in charge of all things related to hair products.
Oh, get that out of your eyes. It's right in your eye. Yeah, there you go.
This is from that hurt my neck. Just from,
It's such a good bit, but I'm sorry.
all right.
You could take those one-a-days for silver. One Centurion silver. What are those called? Shoot.
And we're back.
All right.
Josh loves making fun of me that I'm older than him.
I just think you're a good-looking man for your age.
Yeah.
You and Anderson Cooper, just sharp-looking older guys.
Yep. Thank you. Played dot to dot with my liver spots. This is from Jenna Bajuzik.
Yep. That's
Katie,
Yeah, let's get a ruling on that.
Sounds good.
what do you say?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
Bajuzik.
Bajuzik?
German?
She doesn't. She doesn't
French.
put ethnicity next to her name. She doesn't even do pronunciation.
Slavic. It's a Slavic origin.
But here's the question. I can't believe last show 327, that Jason Carson spent $14,000 on a box truck.
It's not true. It's a total lie. No.
What a misuse of church funds. I'd have fired you too.
way.
Let's get to show this.
We
is-
earned the money. It wasn't even budget.
Yeah.
People. It wasn't tithe money for a t-shirt cannon, Josh. Anyway.
All right. If you didn't listen to 327, go listen to 327.
Yeah,
Cast your vote on who is the most irresponsible of the four of us, and we're back to 328. Jenna Bajusic. Jenna, also
All right.
send in a question at podcast@youthministry.com. How do you actually pronunciate your last name? That'd be great.
Podcast at downloadyouthministry.com.
What'd I say?
It's all right. Just keep going.
Enunciate? Pronunciate.
Pronounce.
Pronounce? What'd I say? Announce?
Yeah, it's okay.
All right.
Just it was a train
You know
wreck.
what? I am so old.
You're doing a great job. You're doing a great job. Keep
You
going.
need reading glasses? Here we
Thank
go.
you for preparing the show for us.
Thank you.
You're doing so good.
Our staff is possibly about to be cut in half. And when I say that, I mean DYM. Josh, please leave. No, this is Jenna. It says, our staff is possibly about to be cut in half. Besides utilizing our core volunteers well, do you have any advice for restructuring a staff team? We're probably not going to have the cash to hire full-time replacements. No shenanigans happening. It's a married couple, and the husband is probably headed to med school out of state.
There you go. That's a tough one.
Well, if you're used to a staff, let's not spend a lot of time on this because we know that we don't have a big audience that has staff. But
multiple youth staff in the same
the
church is very rare.
I think you can restructure. The principles apply if you have a great volunteer team and you lose some of your key people on your volunteer team. You know, every once in a while, it's okay to kind of clean slate and rethink things and re-whiteboard your infrastructure and your hierarchy of how you've got people laid out and what they're doing. And I think this is no different. My guess is you probably have some key volunteers, even though you say besides utilizing key volunteers, you probably have some key volunteers who can do what that couple has done. They just may not do it as quickly,
Sure.
Yeah.
but they could probably do it just as effectively.
I'd throw out a couple ideas. One, a paid staff probably does some of the vision and direction, the scope and sequence. They pick curriculum. Great. You don't have that anymore. So go to an organization that has a really spend a lot of time on a scope and sequence, and they know they have a plan for teaching. So I would say Orange, our primary sponsor, the XP3 curriculum would be a great moment to go, hey, we don't have a person who's in charge of our direction of our curriculum. Well, buy a curriculum that has direction built in. That would be one idea. And then the person who is in charge, maybe they're in charge of training and instructing and like vision casting. Find a platform. Download Youth Ministry University would be an example of that can help train your team. So you don't have a person up there who's now got this experience and wisdom. Well, there's plenty of great resources out there to help train your team. So that would be, in the absence of leadership, there's tools out there that have a lot of leadership built into them. They're not that expensive. Go for it.
That's good.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I was just thinking there's so much great stuff out there to utilize, so you don't have to spend time writing your own stuff all the time. You can add to great things that are already out there to contextualize it. Your people are always going to be your most important thing.
So good.
So making sure that there are people to care for your volunteers, pastoral care for your students, and your parents. Like, I think any kind of restructure, to me, that's the most overwhelming part of paid youth ministry is when all the needs come flooding in of your people, and then, so what's the care structure that you can kind of reorganize around your people? And then, gosh, if there's resources that can help make your job easier, so you're not spending time in that, do it. That's,
It's really good. I like that.
Yeah, and I was just going to say simplify too. You can only work with what you have. If you're used to a big staff and all of a sudden you don't have a staff, reprioritize what's most important in your ministry. Make sure that stuff gets done first.
Like
and
that.
if you don't get to everything during the week, try it next week.
Yeah, in a weird way, when you don't have a staff anymore, you can kind of clean house a little bit.
Yeah.
Like if you're like, this is a sacred cow, it's a good time to get rid of it.
Simplify.
Or like
Centralize.
I kind of like it. The going back to the heart of using your church body well, as opposed to paid professionals. I know that's more difficult. This probably is not an exciting time to be like, you get to go back to the heart of ministry, but it is a really cool chance to reset kind of a staff-driven culture. You got to look at it as an opportunity. And not just a huge withdrawal that has happened to your youth ministry. An opportunity to do some cool things.
Good. I like that, Josh. All right. This is from Brandon Hadley. Brandon Hadley says it's your favorite single youth pastor. Brandon.
Oh, he went on a date with our producer, Allison Hibbard, actually. I just promoted you to
Is this
producer.
true? Oh, and she's showing a heart sign.
Huh?
He was a DY 100 guy. They went on a date.
Yeah, but I didn't know Allison went. I thought it was...
Oh, no, they held hands. I watched.
Oh, that's right.
Interlocking
That's
fingers.
right.
Was it
You
nice?
disapprove of that, right?
Was it
That's
a
not
nice
okay.
date?
Well, she moves
Great
a
guy.
little fast.
He is great.
But let's just leave it at that. Just he's great.
Lives in Texas.
Strike one. No, just kidding.
Quite a bit younger, but
Also had gone on dates with 3 other people 2 days before.
what I'm
it
hearing
was
is
a
there's a
bit.
chance.
Well, they do that on The Bachelor.
We basically turned DYM into a dating service for
Basically.
that 3-day adventure.
what we did.
We haven't talked about our next DYM 100.
No, it's too early. We don't want to talk about it yet.
Well, by the time this show goes out, we will have
It's already sold out. You can't go. Sorry. All right, we talked about it. Next question. All right, Brandon.
probably true.
Brandon Hadley. here we
I
go.
wanted to say thank you for an awesome time at DYM 100 this past year and giving me some great advice for my life. My student ministry has a very strong junior high group, and they're the ones who primarily come to events and our Wednesday night program. How do I engage them differently, but also make it attractive for high schoolers to attend? Is it wrong for me to gear those things more toward my junior high group? Thanks for all you do. Come hang in Dallas sometime.
We should
Split the group. Next question.
have a high school group with 2 kids in it.
Yes. No.
Right.
Well, yeah, the problem with creating a combo ministry where it's geared towards junior hires, you really shouldn't have any surprise why you don't have high schoolers there. I mean, that just seems like
It's a big gap.
it's a little bit of a no-brainer. But it's a difficult situation. But, I mean, our typical answer through 328 episodes, and we probably addressed this kind of idea a dozen times,
Sure.
is that, when the resources are there, split as soon as you can, so that junior hires can be junior hires and high schoolers can be high schoolers, and you can program to them because they're very different animals.
Yes.
Take that lead, Katie. Why are they such different animals?
They're just, yeah. I mean, I think middle schoolers are just, they're so unique. They really are. And require unique teaching and unique and thoughtfulness when you're approaching them. And high schoolers are just in a different place. They're just ready for some different stuff and for you to really build on the stuff that happens in middle school. And so I think with high schoolers, especially, if they're coming to your group, I don't know if you have a small group element, but maybe to begin splitting them, you do some things up front together. But even high school and junior high enjoy different kinds of fun, and, different kinds of things attract them. I think music is the one thing that could be universal for both groups. I think, I think that's one thing that you could have them together. But if there's a possibility of adding in small groups where you've got high school small groups with high school leaders who are trained to be with high schoolers, and then middle schoolers, that might be a way to begin a split, or something like that would be to start with small groups and launch that. I don't know. What do you think, Josh?
No, I really like that. Yeah. I was just thinking, I was meeting with a high school student right before the show, and he is like a grown man. He's just turned 18. He has a tattoo. He plays varsity base. He is like a grown man at 18. And then I have 2 junior hires in my house, and I'm like, they are worlds apart. And I think as a dad now, I'm really starting to feel those different. I've known them, I've read about them, but they are worlds apart. And so I think you do have to program worlds apart.
I think too, even I've been diving a lot into high school recently, just into 9, 10, 11, 12, and really breaking down each grade. And I think even your juniors and seniors and your freshman and sophomore, you got to think about a little bit differently.
I agree.
When you're engaging them and approaching them, and small groups for them. So even looking at what grades you have might help you think through engaging them. Like juniors and seniors, experiential stuff. And I just think there's some really cool things you could do with them that you can't do with middle school. So,
right. Well, and leadership stuff at that level too. Juniors and seniors
totally.
get ready to lead and serve and make a difference rather than bailing at the end and senioritis and out the door. If you program for juniors and seniors differently, I think it could be powerful too.
Yeah. I remember struggling with this all the way back in the early 90s. And all the way through,
Supertones days.
What do you do with seniors? Like they don't want to come, and even if it's just a high school group, it's tough. And so, something I found that works pretty well is if you have something specifically for the seniors. Now I know resources and time; it's not the easiest thing in the world. It's like, especially if you're the only person, you don't have support staff. It's like, yeah, this is an extra thing. This is going to take extra time and energy. But boy, I remember meeting with 5 senior guys, for either coffee or dinner or a lunch or something, and just having a little Bible study. And it was theirs, and they owned it, and they felt important. They felt valued. So just somehow pouring into that, it's that mentality of, well, I guess I can do this,
right?
And being there for them in that, I found that to be helpful. But I dealt with that most of my ministry. You remember, I had the junior high and the high school together.
Yep.
And it grew to the point where I needed to split it. And I would go to all your conferences, and you would say from the front, and all your team or whoever was speaking would say, split as soon as possible, split as soon. And for me, it was like, oh, but we're going to lose all our momentum. And it was such a scary thing. And when I finally did it, it was so good. And so, Katie, I loved what you said. That's what we did. We had our music and announcements together, everyone together. And then for our second hour, we split everybody into small groups by grade and gender. They went off to classrooms all over the campus, and that was so they had their own identity. Then on Sunday mornings, we took the opportunity when we had 2 services at the church. First service was going to be junior high, and second was going to be high school, which created some other problems for when parents went to church and what parents do when they have kids in both programs. But we had to do it. And all those obstacles, once we did it, it was amazing. And
that's cool.
You got to trust the process. I didn't trust the process.
Yeah.
But I can look back and say, you got to trust the process.
I like that, Jay. Good job.
Good. Mark Hall. My name is Mark from Tennessee. I'm a gold member as well as a rewinder, and absolutely love the podcast.
Can't believe.
So to our people who are just tuning in because they came in through 15 Minutes with Frank into our podcast network, what's a rewinder?
They've seen them all.
Or they've listened to them all.
They've gone back, yeah.
328
They've gone back
shows.
and listened to every show, right?
Yeah, going back to double
It
zero.
also means they have no life. Because 320, we have no life. We're 3 hours.
They got a
If you
long
listen
commute.
to one a day for a
Okay.
year, on the treadmill.
If you
or
view
in
this
the
as
car,
like your devotions, then I guess, maybe.
your team meeting a few times a week.
Yeah, if you drive in the car, I put one of these things on in the car. It's awesome.
There's hundreds of hours of us talking. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. This might be your life work. Is that good or is that sad? I don't know.
I think it's great.
Hundreds of hours
it's
of
wonderful.
audio recording. Anyway.
We've been together.
I do like that part.
Yeah.
We got a lot of good memories.
It's like Friends
Good
and
memes.
Cheers without the big contracts.
Without the $1 million an episode, I'll give you $3. Actually, the podcast is free. It's not. What are we?
He says, I've been in youth ministry for 7 years and unfortunately resigned from my last church after the birth of our twins, and my wife was having some postpartum issues. We're now over it. It was extremely difficult to go through it all, but we're ready to be in a place to go back. So here's my question. I want to make sure I do my due diligence in looking for a church and making sure I have in-depth conversation with the lead pastor at the church we feel like we're a fit. What would some questions be that I could ask that would be beneficial for youth ministry? Thanks for all you do, and hopefully I land at a church where I come to DYM 100. I also have another question from Jared Ferres.
Okay.
Ferres.
I believe you.
Okay. P-H-A-R-E-S.
Farers. Ferez.
What's he say?
He says, please don't use my name. I had an unexpected and not very pretty departure from my last position. I'm in the process of looking for a new one. What are the best questions to ask a church you are interviewing with?
Great.
Well, I know in your first 2 years of youth
theme.
ministry, there are questions. I don't remember where.
I don't either.
I think in the end in the appendix.
Yeah.
But they're probably not as good as what we'll come up with as a group.
Yeah, well, the good principle here is you're not just being interviewed, you are interviewing them. And I think that's the overarching thought is don't just walk into it, answer their questions and walk away. Have some questions for them. Here are some warning signs you should look for. Here's some stuff. Here's some questions you need to know the answer to before you say yes. Right?
Yeah, I think you ask about relational expectations. I'd ask about, if you're married, what are the expectations on my spouse? What do you consider an average work week hour-wise? I mean, I'd try to get...
How much in the office?
Office hours, office occupations are
I
big.
definitely ask the senior pastor those questions, and then I would write down his or her answers, and I would then compare them with the answers that the staff give. So I'd like to talk to some people on staff and, ask questions about that and see if they match up. I'd actually want to interview people who used to be on staff and find out why they're not on staff anymore. And I'd just do as much digging as I could. And at the end of the day, God's going to open shut doors, but I just think people are so eager to get a job that they blindly go into places. And then a year later, they're like, oh, I wish I would have asked these questions.
Well, I think you need to know what fuels you. So if you're like, I need a relational connection to the senior leader, well, then you need to find out if that's even a possibility. Right. Or if you're like, I need structured reviews every 6 months. I need to know what the pay and how that works. And great. A lot of churches have none of that in place. So you're flying blind, and unless something goes wrong, then you'll know exactly where you stand.
Let me piggyback on that. I would even say, even if you need structured
still doesn't
reviews,
hurt.
I would say, what's your review system? Because whether you feel like you need it or not, you want it.
You're being reviewed too.
And that's your opportunity to leverage growth and change.
Yeah, if you want a box truck, that's your moment to go get it.
Yep.
So I get it. Yeah. So, I think expectations of numbers, it has to come up because they have expectations of numbers. I would also want to know the history of the church. So what happened to the youth pastor before me? They've never had a youth pastor. That changes your discussion and your direction. I would talk to a couple key parents. If they let me talk to a few parents with kids, like, tell me what your perception is of the youth ministry right now. Like, do some interviewing of that would be really good. Really good.
Is that, and let me give a little pushback. Is that total, that's pretty ideal? Do people get to go into jobs and say, I'd like to interview the other staff? And
you're a senior pastor.
Okay,
you're a senior pastor, and I'm interviewing for youth pastor at your church. When we get to maybe a second interview, would you look down on me for asking those types of questions?
I wouldn't. I just feel like out there, Do you think that's like
I wouldn't
it's
lead.
a devil's advocate question.
I wouldn't lead with those questions. Hey, it's nice to meet you. Tell me about your review structure.
But do you think what I'm familiar with, I guess, is that normally a boss or someone in the hiring position would be looking for someone to come in that has in their eyes, a spirit of willingness to come serve and jump on whatever's happening, right?
Yeah.
And with humility and with like just I'll do whatever it takes, type thing.
Blind.
Right?
And we're saying it's not good jumping blind.
I agree. But is it's ideal to come in and say, well, let's check this out and see if, can I ask these people and can I go around? I mean, I don't know.
Well, you're the senior pastor, so after the first interview, you're either sensing something from me that you want to continue to have conversation with, or you don't.
Right.
So I think at some point these questions have to come. If I'm going to move my family across the country, if I'm going to uproot or whatever,
I've seen it go bad.
Yeah.
So I agree. I just wonder if that's ideal versus reality.
Well, I think the further you're in the interview process, that if you're on your second phone call, your first site visit, whatever, I think you have permission to ask more and more questions about culture and all of that stuff.
And obviously, if you can ask with a sense of humility, even in the ask, that's going to win too.
Great point. Yeah. Yep. I like that.
I think
Katie?
You can only be 70% sure. There's always going to be a faith piece to the process, so know that, entering into any process, there's never going to be a foolproof process, or you're not going to know 100% of the things. So I think prepare your heart and your mind to be going out on faith in some arena. I think with the senior pastor, I think, asking him what his leadership style is, asking him what he's passionate about, excited about, like being in, just being in that space with him and really, where is he excited? There's definitely a lot of technical parts about getting a job. And I think expectations are huge. Understanding what people are expecting of you coming in is such a big deal. But also, like, what are you walking into that you also can get so excited and passionate about? If you're meeting with the leaders of the church, just what are those questions? What really matters to you? 19 things can't matter to you when you're getting a job. They just can't, because nobody can fulfill everything that matters to you. So what are like the top 3 or 4 things? Have you really processed, like, what are the things that really matter to me in a church family, in a church body that I want to be a part of and get a job there? So I think even processing those things for yourself will really help you and inform all the other questions to ask. So
one more, just for free. Would I go to church there if I wasn't on staff?
Yeah.
Would be a great question. Ask yourself. Just ask yourself. And that doesn't mean it's a no. If you're like, no, I would not go. It just means you're going to have an uphill battle, or maybe more struggles to help transition or whatever. Yeah. I think it's a good answer to have in your back pocket.
And that might be a no, right?
It absolutely could be a no.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd have to
but it might be
called by God.
It might be a yes, because they're asking you to come in and make big changes and make it the church. They have a vision for that, but they don't know how to get there. But that means a long, hard road.
Yeah.
But man, if God calls you to that, go for it.
Yep.
That's awesome.
And I think there's no perfect church and there's no perfect job. So I think it is calling and being part of the excitement of the church that I think keeps you in a great position in the church. I think I wake up because I love my church and I'm called. And those two things on the hardest days still get me out of bed and still get me into that space. And so I think that is a really important thing of, like, do you get excited about being part of the body and this church's mission? I think that's a really important part.
Yeah, there's something in me that's, 3 of the 4 of us have worked for the same senior pastor.
Yep.
And, he could sell, what's the
ice to an Eskimo?
Ice to an Eskimo. He's just so good. He's, his personality is woo.
Right.
And so you could come in with a strong sense of self and what you're passionate about, and he could get you to
be lost in his.
And that, of course, Katie, you could do that. That's great, Mm-hmm. And so that's why there are times when, as exciting as that is, and as, you do want to pull yourself aside from that and go, okay, now let me get another perspective.
Right.
What's it like to work for this, type of leader?
Right.
That, I just think so many people that I talk to, I mean, think about the 10 years we've been doing this. There's been a lot of pain that has been written in because they went to a bad fit.
Yeah.
Whether it's their fault or the church's, or they didn't ask the question, or the senior leader didn't ask the right question. I'm not casting blame on which side, but we uncover a lot of pain.
Yeah.
And I think you just have to do your homework, ahead of time. I like, Katie, what you said about having a strong sense of what's important to me, because there are things that are a little bit alluring.
Yeah.
That at the end of the day, you're going like, well, in 3 months, the luster's going to wear off that.
Well, it's nice to be wanted too.
Yep.
Like if people are pursuing you and coming
pay
after
you to do youth ministry? What?
It can be easy to get lost in that and lose what you love, or those types of things. When I'm hiring, I send people to talk to people on my team, and I'm like, ask them about me, ask them what it's like to work for me, ask them what's hard, ask them what's great. Like they will be honest with you, and I'm really okay with it because I think that's an important piece for sure.
But you understand team better than most leaders.
Yeah.
Katie.
Very true.
You can do research. You just said research. Like, can you, in this day and age, most churches, you can go on their website and listen to 20 sermons and see, like, am I clicking with this?
Yeah, some of that you can do ahead of time.
Church, or you could go onto their website and their Facebook and find people, and you could really figure out who these people are.
First stop. If you go to a job bank or whatever, stalk them so hard. Yeah.
For sure.
Absolutely. If I ever see a hashtag from a camp or something, I'm all over that.
Yeah, it's a nice part of technology for sure.
And you can see what kind of staff and how they present themselves, and do I fit there?
Yeah.
Josh, Doug, Jason, and Katie. My name is Josh Gentry. I'm a youth pastor in Palestine, Texas.
Okay.
Pronounced Palestine, not like the Middle East. I was almost run out of town for that one. I'm a longtime listener, writing in for the first time. Thanks for all you do in the world of youth ministry.
When you interview, learn how to pronounce the name of the city you're in.
That's right. I've been serving in my church for 2 years now. I'm respected and seen as quote-unquote successful on all fronts by our elders, staff, and congregation in leading our youth. I receive praises and positive reviews at my year-end evaluations, but I can't help but feel like I'm not quite ministering to the fullest extent. I am partnering with parents successfully, but I really feel like I should be ministering more to families as a whole and not just to the youth. My church is on board with the idea, but we've never had a quote-unquote family pastor. My main area would still be youth, but I'd be working and ministering more with the family as a whole. Do you have any experience and or advice on extending family relationships from working with to ministering to?
I love it.
Yeah, well said.
I did that a little bit in my transition. They were moving. I was still fully in youth ministry as a youth pastor, and they had me moving towards family ministry. And so I started with just a couple events here and there. So I would say, like, let's do a family camp, or let's have a family event after church, or let's do a parenting workshop. So I think anytime you can start with just, I don't know, obviously if there's no culture of it, you don't just like dump the whole plan at once. I think that might be hard and you might be fighting uphill. But if you can pick a couple events and ease it in and really have a passion for that. I would also say, I'm not sure what his situation is, but if you can say, hey, can we do some kind of youth Sunday in main service once or twice a year, where you could get the youth band up there, the youth pastor would speak. You can integrate a little bit with the family in that sense.
I like that.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Katie, that was for you. He gestured straight at you.
I know.
It was to me.
It was like, okay, well, I'll buy you a little time. You know?
Yeah.
I would just say if you're going to plan a family event or activity, promote it from both sides. So an example would be, if we're going to do this big church-wide family picnic, and it's the adult ministry that's promoting that, then the kids are going to be like, you're dragging me to an adult thing. And if you go to if youth group promotes this picnic, now it's weird as we're doing this youth event and my parents are at it and it's weird. So I would say try your best to mutually promote something that's really valuable for the whole family. So parents are like, this is for me. And teenagers are like, this is for me. And together, I think it works better. I just think it can be awkward in personal experience. My kids are like, oh, my parents are at this youth night. This is so weird. Or I'm like, come on, guys, we're all going to this comedy night. And they're like, it's a church thing. But if there was some crossover in promotion instead of just youth or just adults, I think it sells it to the family. So I know that's maybe a little bit granular now that I say it out loud, but I think it matters. I think it matters.
Anything intentional. It's great.
Yeah. Katie Edwards.
You want me to buy you some more time, Katie?
Sure.
All right.
We're waiting for the real wisdom. We'll just...
That's how it always is.
We'll fill air.
Yeah. We all kind of spit out B-level stuff.
Yeah, and then she
Katie
just is
swoops
like...
in and...
She's like, listen to the Holy Spirit. That's the answer.
Here we go. Here's the A content. I was thinking about 20 years ago, I wrote Purpose-Driven Youth Ministry. It's been 20 years.
20 years.
And there was a chapter on parents. And at that time, I'm saying family-based, family-friendly youth ministry is just kind of becoming in vogue. And I'm not exactly sure, but I see it in stages or phases.
Yeah.
And I haven't read it in a long time, but I still think I would stand by everything I wrote in the stages and phases.
Okay.
That, he's making a transition. I like his terminology, working with to ministering to.
That's good
You're not stopping working with teenagers, but now I'm ministering to the family. I'd probably have a higher value of family than I did 20 years ago. But I also talked about, let's start where you can, which just might be clearer communication.
Right.
Not throwing summer camps out in June. Now you've created chaos in
the
a
family calendar. Sure. Yes.
To doing relational ministry with parents, just finding out, meeting with them to have conversations about their kids. How can we come alongside of you? I think I have like 10 different stages or phases, kind of progressing to a more holistic, family-friendly youth ministry.
Yeah.
And I think that's even the term I used, is that I don't know if I would go so far as to say family-based, but definitely family-friendly. Yeah. And you can lean into a family-friendly ministry slowly, methodically, strategically, and clearly by having some objectives that you do. I don't think you have to we're now going to throw out youth ministry the way that it's been done, and we're just going all family ministry.
Right.
You could, but I think there's a way to continue to do kind of what you normally do and come alongside families in a more strategic way.
All right, Katie, what do you got for us?
Well, I think I'm listening to your answers because I think this is an area that I'm just learning a lot in right now, and rethinking some things that we're doing. At our church, we're a little bit siloed, and I think that's hurting us right now. And so I think one thing that we're trying to do is, who is everybody who's ministering to the family? And how do we get around the same table and just have great communication with one another of, hey, what are you doing? What are we doing? I've been on staff for a really long time, and we just now have this events calendar that we're all putting our stuff on so everybody can see, right? And things that I'm like, gosh, I'm 22 years in and I feel like I'm in my first year with some of this stuff, But, getting everybody around the table and really talking about, okay, we all minister to the same family. You're ministering to the parents, so am I, the kids, so what does it look like to do that? And so I think, who is that for you that you can sit around the table with and talk to, if it's small groups, people in your church or other people that are ministering to the adults of your church, what does that look like? And what could happen out of a cool brainstorm session, just talking about what ministry looks like long term. And that's just something that we're processing a ton right now. But I think too, I love what you said about not ditching youth ministry, because I don't necessarily think teenagers want to do tons of church events with their parents. Like, I think
mine don't.
Yeah, like
They don't.
So
I'm sorry.
I do think about some of the big picture core things. You know, I love communication. I love encouragement, or how you're giving parents hope, or where you're giving people an outlet to pray over them, or, you know, there's all different kinds of ways that you can minister to a family. Events is not always the best way, or even, you know, they take time, they're expensive, and I think sometimes they're not always as successful for the whole family. Because so maybe even gathering together parents who have kids in different stages. I have an elementary, a freshman, and a senior. So we're kind of in a lot of spectrums at the church. So who are those families who have some, you know, kids in different phases, who you can kind of talk to them together about, what does it look like for my family to spend time together? It's challenging. You know, so what is that?
Well, and with 3 disjointed calendars.
Yeah, totally.
And
So how do those kinds of things like inform kind of things that you might want to do, or ways you want to minister?
Orange does a good job of this too. I mean, they take
they have so much
stage,
good stuff.
being at the conference and seeing like all the phases and the age categories and how they reach each age group. But then Reggie does a good job of how to tie it together and reach the family unit.
I mean,
so it's reading books.
I mean, it's totally their core. I actually was on the phone with Reggie today, and I was talking about an idea I have for the XP3 curriculum. And he goes, that'd be great, as long as it gets the children's ministry people into it as well, because if they're, you know, he just immediately went into, I want to make sure everybody's on the same page. So
That's great.
he kind of knocked down that silo and went,
that's good.
You know, it's like, oh yeah, I'm sure that would work. We can,
yeah.
we can invite that person to the table.
If we have to.
For sure.
All right. Just so you know, we are a podcast network.
Yeah.
And we encourage you to visit our other shows, Youth Ministry Hacks, Mentor Me, My Third Decade, 15 Minutes with Frank, and what it is and what it means.
Yep. Pop culture and youth ministry. We might change the title. Does what it is, what it means, does it work? Pop culture youth ministry?
I would just go with what it is.
Why don't you just do pop culture youth ministry?
Pop culture youth ministry is probably better.
Yeah.
You definitely don't need what it means.
What if it was, but youth workers might need to know what it means for their ministry. Like,
I get that.
This YouTube video is really hot right now, and okay, I need to know what it is. All right, now, how does that impact me? What do I need to do with that in youth?
Can I
what
show
does it mean? Right, exactly.
That's really what the question is.
Like,
can
what it is, what it means, and do you have permission?
Yes. Can I show it in my ministry today? Tonight, in 5 minutes.
Blame you?
Exactly. Well, listen to that show to find out more, I guess. There you go. There's a great tease.
All right,
Fun being with you guys.
Always wonderful. Thanks, you guys, for carving out this time.
Love it.
Grateful for all of you.
Love it.
Many blessings.
See you next time.
All right.
Bye.